Pubcast. If you're not listening to Pubcast, the terrorists are winning. That's what Jay Moore says.
Welcome to the Pubcast. Sit down and enjoy a pint.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Pubcast. This is the first time we've combined two movies into one podcast, and I couldn't think of a better franchise for it to happen than Indiana Jones. Allison and Eric join me to break down The Temple of Doom from 1984 and 1989's The Last Crusade. Previously, we broke down Raiders of the Lost Ark, and with the newest and hopefully last Indiana Jones movie about to come out, we thought we should talk about the two sequels to Raiders. And no, we don't even recognize that fourth film. Temple of Doom is both too dark while also being too jokey, and while it's memorable, we're not big fans. But it does introduce us to Short Round, so it can't be all bad. The Last Crusade is a bit more fun and is a relatively close second behind Raiders. It brings us back to the biblical history vibe established in Raiders and takes us on a tour of Venice, which always looks great on film. So grab your fedora and your whip as we break down The Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade.
The old legend of the Shankara stones. The villagers' sacred rock was taken.
Village stories, Dr. Jones.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
Come on! I don't want to go!
You know how to fly, don't you?
No. Do you?
Archaeologists were always funny little men searching for their mummies.
Mummies.
Indy, your father, they have them.
Dad found out more than he was looking for.
Junior? Don't call me that, please.
I want you to find the Grail.
I've heard this bedtime story before.
Eternal life, Dr. Jones. The gift of youth to whoever drinks from the Grail.
After you, Junior. This is intolerable!
No ticket.
Dad! On! Dad! On! I didn't know you could fly a plane. Why, yes! Land? No! You call this archaeology? Are you crazy? Don't go between them!
Go between them! Are you crazy?
Hang on! Quick! Under it!
You know, sharing your adventures is an interesting experience.
Okay, we have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1984, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 1989. I'm going to do both no-nonsense plots, and then we can kind of go back and forth between both.
84 and 89.
Yep. The Temple of Doom. In 1935, Indiana Jones is tasked by Indian villagers with reclaiming a rock stolen from them by a secret cult beneath the catacombs of an ancient palace. Okay.
Spot in there.
Whatever. Last Crusade in 1938. Very specific with the dates. I don't know why they do that in these things. In 1938, after his father goes missing while pursuing the Holy Grail, Indiana Jones finds himself up against the Nazis again to stop them from obtaining its powers. well written, but sure. What?
The second one that you read is a lot less dense.
Yeah.
Than the first. The first one was like trying to get like every
First one,
possible aspect of the film in that summary.
Indian villagers reclaiming a rock stolen by a secret cult beneath the catacombs of an ancient palace. Yeah, there's a lot of beats. Let's start with Temple of Doom.
Yes.
This, I remember trying to get our parents to take us to this movie or take me to this movie, and they wouldn't do it because it looked like it was too scary.
Yeah.
And it is the darkest of the Indiana Jones movies, and Spielberg and George Lucas admit it. Like, it was supposed to be dark, like Empire Strikes Back is darker than the first Star Wars. But they both admit, we went too far. It was too much.
I mean, I did not see this in the theater. This was definitely a movie rental, and liked it. Then I became horrified and traumatized, and I don't think I watched it again for years.
Traumatized.
That grabbing at the heart thing, and like everybody in that trance-like state creeped me out. I was not expecting that at all. And I really had a problem with it for a long time. I'm not even kidding. I don't think I went back and watched it beginning to end until well into high school, I don't think.
Spielberg and George Lucas were going through divorces or something at the time. They say that
they're ripping their heart out.
Well, they said that the darkness and like off-puttingness of this movie was because they were both like in a bad mood the whole time.
Their hearts were ripped out.
Yeah.
That being said, though, as I watched the movie today, and yes, you're absolutely right that it's dark and much darker than the other movies, and I never really paid that much attention to it before, but watching it today, at the same time, they're playing for a lot of laughs.
Yeah, there is a lot of, I agree with you. And I noticed the same thing when I was watching. I'm like, there's a lot more comedy in this than I remember.
That is addressed in the research.
Yeah, how they know that they're going dark and they're trying to put comedy in it.
They shoehorned in. That was Spielberg, like, realizing this is going off the rails and we got to lighten this up. It's too intense. And so he was like putting in comedy bits here and there. Some fit.
But there's so much comedy, though.
Yeah.
Other than from the time that they walk in on that first sacrifice, it's like comedic bits, like one after another, like almost nothing is really or serious.
Yeah.
And then it gets real intense until basically what brings the movie back is when Willie slaps Indiana in the face when he pulls her out of the pit. And then it gets jokey again.
Yeah.
Which I wrote something down about that slap.
What is it?
That it is a limp-wristed slap with the sound effect of a Harrison Ford punch.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. And I literally wrote it down that way because I vaguely recall that when we were younger, like it sounded funny to be like this big thing. But watching it today, I'm like, she's like catching him with her fingertips almost.
It's funny though.
And it's super loud.
I'm sure it wasn't intended to be that way, but throughout these movies, I mean, we talked about this on the first Raiders of the Lost Ark podcast, how, the classic Indiana Jones punch sounds like a howitzer going off. Like it's just a classic over the top sound effect in his punches, where the other guys don't have that as much. And then she kind of has the same thing there,
Yeah.
even though her slap is ridiculous. Okay. Temple of Doom. We've done box office performance for 84 before, and I think for 89, well, maybe not 89 before. So I'll run through these quickly. But box office performance, number 1, Beverly Hills Cop, 234 million. 2 was Ghostbusters. 3 was Temple of Doom, 179 million. 4, Gremlins. 5, The Karate Kid. 6, Police Academy. 7, Footloose. 8, Romancing the Stone, which we got to do that at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the start of all this. 9, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And number 10 with 69 million was Splash.
That is a big year.
It's a big year.
That's a big year.
A lot of big.
84, we've talked about it before. 84 was a huge.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That is a lot of like iconic movies.
And I think part of that is the age. It's, you know, because it's 32 years ago, 29 years ago.
Are you mathing right now?
Do you see the blood leaking out of my ear right now? I just hurt myself. But if you look like, that's just the top 10. 11 through 20 is also a who's who. Like there's a lot of great movies. So it made 179 million for a budget of 28 million. That's pretty good. $84.
By the way, it's 39 years.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom made 179 million. Raiders just 3 years earlier made 212 million with a budget of 20. So it's in line with that. Now let's go to Last Crusade. Last Crusade 89. The top 10 were Batman at 251. Last Crusade was second with 197.
Okay.
Then Lethal Weapon 2, Look Who's Talking, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. See, this this year is not as good as 84.
Yeah.
Back to the Future 2. Ghostbusters 2.
Yes, also.
Driving Miss Daisy, Parenthood, and Dead Poet Society at number 10 with 95 million.
Wow. Okay.
The Last Crusade.
That has some hills and valleys in there.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Last Crusade made 197 million. The budget was up to 48 million, though. So not, I mean, super profitable, but not quite as much as the first two. Okay, now, here we get into the interesting part. Rotten Tomatoes score.
Okay.
For Temple of Doom. Let's go with the audience first. Al.
Okay. This one makes me... I mean, it did well enough, so I'm going to guess 89. Like, I think it was, what, third in box office?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 89.
Eric?
I'm going to say 80.
The audience gave it 82.
Oh, all right.
That's fine.
Sure.
Critics.
Would they have liked this, or would they have been...
Do you want the score for Raiders for comparison? 3 years earlier.
Okay.
Do you want it or do you not want it?
No.
Okay. So the critics for Temple of Doom, what do you got?
I'm gonna give it a lower score. I'm gonna say 74.
Eric?
I'm gonna say 65.
Ooh.
Critics gave it 76.
Oh, really? I didn't
So Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom was 82 audience, 76 critics. Raiders of the Lost Ark was 96 audience, 93 critics.
Whoa.
When reading the trivia for Temple of Doom, maybe getting a little ahead of your butt.
No, it's fine.
Kate Capshaw was on Johnny Carson, and they interviewed her about the movie. And then the second guest that night after her was Siskel and Ebert, and they were talking about other movies that came out that year, and they talked about Temple of Doom right in front of her,
right,
and ripped on the movie and ripped on her performance while she was sitting right next to him.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insanity.
Wow.
Who booked that? That's crazy.
So yeah, I thought it was. That's why I went a little bit lower, because critics, from the sound of it, at least
those two.
At least those two, who that's who usually people think of, especially in that era, were not afraid to rip on that movie in front of everybody, including the people in it.
I mean, clearly, and I am sure that must have been, awful for her. I can only imagine what that experience was like.
Yeah, it's said in there that she kind of snapped back, and I'm like, don't talk about me like I'm not sitting right next to you, because I'm right here.
Oh, good for her.
And separately, she has said, and no one, even Spielberg, his wife, would disagree with this, that character is not a character. It's just, I think she even described it as a screaming blonde woman. Like, that's all she does in the whole movie.
Yeah. Which,
how do you critique her for that?
Trivia on that, she screamed 71 times in that movie.
I love a scream count.
That is insane.
It's insane. So let's do Rotten Tomatoes for The Last Crusade.
Okay.
We heard the previous two movies. Al, give us your audience score for Last Crusade.
I'm going to say they like this more because I liked it more. I'm going to say 91.
Eric?
I'm sorry, we're doing audience?
Audience for Last Crusade, yeah.
88.
And the audience gave it 94.
Ooh, all right.
Back up into the Raiders area.
Yeah.
So critics, Al.
I am gonna stick with 91.
Consistent. Eric?
85.
Critics gave it 84.
Oh.
So it's not quite, both of those are not quite what Raiders was, but it was better than Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Which is, that's...
Yeah, of course.
Consensus, so that tracks.
That's the consensus, I think, about all fans or people who've seen these movies, is that the second one is probably the worst one.
No.
The least liked one.
Not yet.
We're not talking about the Crystal Skull doesn't count. We're just talking about the original trilogy.
All right.
I mean, this is insanity. Okay. I have a list of the 9 ancient relics in the Indiana Jones movies.
Okay.
And this includes the new one that's coming out.
Okay.
Just for sort of, shits and giggles. It's not really a quiz or a game, but the 9 relics are, and the pronunciation is going to be terrible on this, Chachapoyan fertility idol in Raiders, the gold idol head.
Oh yeah.
That he gets at the beginning. The headpiece of the Staff of Ra.
Yeah.
It's in Raiders as well, and the Ark of the Covenant Raiders.
So the headpiece is a real thing?
No. These are not real.
Oh, I'm like, wait a second. What? Okay.
These are the quote-unquote ancient relics found in the movies.
I was like, wait a second. I thought all of this was made up.
No. Yeah, everything is made up. They're inspired by
mythology
or some real things, but nothing is actually real. Yeah. The Sankara stones in the Temple of Doom.
Right.
That's the only thing that's in that movie. The Cross of Coronado is in the Crusade. And the Holy Grail is in the Last Crusade as well. So 3 in Raiders, 1 in Temple of Doom, and 2 in the Last Crusade. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has the Crystal Skull of Akator, which is not a real thing. But it's inspired by...
Yeah.
There are myths about crystal skulls. And so the new movie has 2.
Okay.
The Dial of Destiny. The movie's called Dial of Destiny.
Right.
And the Lance of Longinus.
Okay.
I'm sure I mispronounced that, but that's as close as I got it.
All right.
The Lance of Dial of Destiny, I read about it, and it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's a thing. The Lance of Longinus is a real thing, or at least inspired by a real myth or real thing. It is the spear used by one of the Roman guards that pierced the side of Jesus on the cross.
Okay.
So that one is great because it sort of aligns with the previous few movies in the sort of mythology and theology stuff.
Yep.
Dial of Destiny, whatever, man. Fine. So,
is it going to connect back to like Egyptian time or like some sort of ancient people?
I don't know. I read what the Dial of Destiny is, but it was so uninteresting. I can't remember what it was.
Great.
Eric might know, but
great.
I don't. I have not read into that movie yet at all.
So for anyone listening, we are doing this before the movie comes out. So we're not even talking about that movie, but we thought it made sense to reference it a little bit. So I was thinking, what other ancient artifacts should Indy go after if he were to have more adventures? And this is open for discussion. I did the research, and I wrote down some potentially likely candidates given what Indiana Jones is.
Okay.
And I crossed off some. Like the city of Atlantis. Because that's been touched on. We have Aquaman already, so we don't need to have Atlantis. That's not
okay.
And Namor or whatever. Marvel and DC, they've done that already.
Okay.
There is one, I wrote it down because it is a real myth, but it has obviously been in a very high profile movie already. And that's the Philosopher's Stone.
Okay.
That, I believe that one can turn metal into gold. I think that's what that does, if I remember. So we're not doing that one.
Okay.
So here's the ones that I'm thinking would be fun or
I think I've got
possible.
one. I think I've got one idea.
Say one.
The Fountain of Youth.
I've got that written down.
It's not a relic, but it's a...
Yeah.
Or El Dorado.
El Dorado. The Lost City of El Dorado?
Yeah, the Lost City of Gold.
El Dorado, that's a good one. The only thing I thought about with the Fountain of Youth, it kind of touched on
with the Grail
a little bit. Not exactly, but
yeah.
There's also the Garden of Eden.
Right.
That could also connect to the Grail a little bit.
Right.
We saw. How about Noah's Ark?
Right.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Right.
Excalibur. Obviously, that's been done any number of times in ways in movies, but that's something. The Golden Fleece, which is a Greek mythology.
Oh, yeah.
It's been done in movies, and was it Jason and the Argonauts or something? Wasn't that Golden Fleece?
Was that in Percy Jackson?
It might have been a Percy Jackson too. So that's been touched on. Yeah. The one that I saw that it's obscure enough, but if you think about it, you know of it. It's out there. Would be, and I don't know if there's any value to this thing. It's purely myth. I don't think it's a real thing. The Knife of Cain.
Oh.
The murder weapon of the first murder.
Yeah.
Cain and Abel in the Bible. I mean, that's not as sexy as Excalibur or Noah's Ark, but that's something.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't know. I feel like I would need like 5 minutes to think about this, and I'm not sure what's prepared for the silence.
But... Yeah. No, but like all those connect with the first, with Raiders and the Last Crusade. Temple of Doom is a different animal, but I mean, do you want to go back into Aliens? I don't think we want to do Crystal Skull Aliens anymore.
No, we don't. We don't need to do that.
We want to bring in Shia LaBeouf?
No.
We don't. No need to revisit the space in between spaces.
They're interdimensional beings, not aliens.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's that.
People getting carted away on ants.
That was, I mean, there's a reason we're not talking about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I just have a bunch of random trivia, I guess, for both episodes, I guess, movies for this episode.
Okay.
You guys are welcome to chime in at any point.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of trivia for like alternate scripts and previous drafts, and story was going to be this, but it became that. And I mean, there's dozens of those. I'm not going to go into many, or maybe I'll touch on a couple of those, but not many of those. There's so many, and every movie has a dozen drafts of stuff. So who cares? Right. So saying that, an early draft of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark had Indiana Jones traveling to Shanghai to recover a piece of the staff of Ra. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
During his escape from the museum where it was housed, he sheltered from machine gun fire behind a giant rolling gong. In the same script, he and Marion were fleeing destruction of something in a minecart.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And both of these scenes were cut from that and resurfaced in Temple of Doom.
Right.
So like they had a different part of the other movie, the other script, and they didn't work. It was too long. They just shelved them for the next movie.
Got it.
It happens all the time, but it's kind of interesting. We've all seen the Easter egg of Club Obi-Wan in this movie.
Right.
I mean, I think these are well known, but have to be mentioned.
Right.
Temple of Doom. The three main characters are all named after dogs. Short Round was named after screenwriter Willard Hook's dog.
How did that name come about for a dog?
I don't know. I assume he's short and round. Okay. Willie was named after Steven Spielberg's dog, and Indiana was named after George Lucas's dog.
Right. The dog?
The actor Amrish Puri shaved his head for the role of Molaram in Temple of Doom. This created such an impression. Everybody liked it so much, and he was so recognizable with the shaved head that he kept it, and then became one of India's most popular villains.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Like he was sort of an also ran when he had hair, but he shaved his head and he became this big movie star. The sounds of the mine car running along the tracks in the chase scene were recorded on roller coasters at Disneyland.
Oh.
They turned off all the sound effects and all the music, and it just ran the roller coasters, and that was the Minecraft sound. This was originally called Indiana Jones and the Temple of Death. It was so dark. Yeah. To save money, some of the interiors of Pankot Palace were redressed to be the sets used for Kamal Khan's palace in the James Bond movie Octopussy, which filmed right nearby.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
This movie was and is banned in India.
Yeah. I don't have it in front of me, but I did hear or read somewhere about, that scene where they're at the banquet table eating all the ridiculous food.
Yeah.
And how that was like, that's one of the reasons why it's banned in India, but all of the, I don't even know if you call them stereotypes, but like weird things, like crazy, exotic insanity put on these other cultures in this movie. It's crazy.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It was just for shock value, but I guess in 84, Spielberg and Lucas like didn't realize it or didn't think about it or whatever, but eating the monkey brains and
the steamed snake that has like babies crawling out of it. Which I don't even know how that works. Like
for kids our age that saw this movie, we thought that's what people eat over there.
And the bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, giant bugs. And okay, let's
Eyeball
talk
soup.
about that goat eye soup situation. Nobody's making that like that. I don't care.
No.
Stop it. Just stop it. I wrote that down as like that whole scene was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the little apparently squeals that those baby snakes would make as the guy was holding it, like they don't make those sounds. Same with the bugs in the little they're not squealing.
I know.
Like, that does not happen.
Artistic license, but yeah.
Oh my God. The fact that the bats, as everybody knows, are not vampire bats. They were fruit bats. They're big and giant. But Indiana Jones coming in so bold and saying they're vampire bats when it's so easily like proven that it's wrong, like that just makes him sound dumb.
Yeah, but
it's just
no one, the viewing public doesn't know that.
Well,
or didn't know that then.
Maybe that then, but still, like looking back on it now, it's like you're just a know-it-all. Stick with your archaeology. You are not a biologist.
That's right. You read books. You are not a scientist. You're not a biologist.
You study relics.
Yeah.
These are living things.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But also on that scene, I thought it was weird that was like the one time that Willie didn't flip out.
Right.
Like if you tell her that it's giant vampire bats, she's like, bats?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, fine, great.
Do you want to scream
anything else that she would have absolutely lost her shit.
Yeah.
And then she's, oh, bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other kind of trivia like thing that I thought was kind of interesting. This is the only movie of, I think I read it as the 4, where there is no mention of Marcus Brody.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Which I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool piece of trivia.
Yeah. And
this takes place the year before.
Right. It's a prequel.
Right.
Which is, again, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, and he did that because he didn't want to have any mention of Nazis or whatever in this movie.
Right.
Fine. Yeah, I
could not wrap my head around that when I was a kid watching a movie. Wait a minute, how does this?
I know.
Yeah.
It. I could be wrong on the details here, but Marcus Brody. So because of his absence and how dark it was, they brought him back for the next movie purposefully. Like him and Sala were back in the next movie because we need more like comic relief or like somebody to lighten the load a little bit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think like shortly after the Last Crusade, I think he died like not that long ago. Like he had cancer of some sort or something. I forget.
No, what I had read just before they started filming, he had been diagnosed with AIDS.
That's what it was. Yep. Yep.
So they said that he was ill multiple times throughout filming.
Yeah. Yep. Any trivia from you, Eric, on Temple of Doom that you want to mention?
I think it's fairly common knowledge now, but the at the beginning of the movie, when the British guy escorting Indy, Willie, and Short Round onto the plane, telling him how it'll be inconvenient with the live poultry, that was Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's
he
lots
had
of
just been started in 1941 for Steve Spielberg.
there's lots of good little cameos. Like I think Spielberg and George Lucas are cameoed in that. I think that same scene, like in the background.
Yeah,
you can't tell it's them. I mean, it could be anybody.
Are there other movies of theirs where they do the same thing? Because it feels unusual.
Where they're in the background.
They're
somewhere?
in their own movies.
Lucas was in one of the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, all right.
Like in makeup, and
Yeah.
you would never know.
Yeah.
I don't know that Spielberg does that necessarily.
Yeah.
he's been in other people's movies, but not his
Right.
own.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Last Crusade. So this one is interesting. I think, most people like this. I'll say as much or close to as much as Raiders. People like that movie a lot. Spielberg is on record as saying he made The Last Crusade for two reasons. One, to fulfill a 3-movie obligation he had with George Lucas. So he's just like, I had to do it. It was just a contractual thing. And 2, to atone for the criticism he received for the Temple of Doom.
Ooh, interesting.
But he says separately that Last Crusade is one of his favorite, or is his favorite, of the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, I had noted that too.
When Lucas and Spielberg met to discuss the third Indiana Jones movie, he wanted to have it, so George Lucas wanted to have it set in a haunted mansion. Spielberg had just finished Poltergeist.
Oh.
And decided he wanted to do something different. Lucas came up with the idea of the Holy Grail, but Spielberg added the father-son story.
Got it.
So
Okay.
George Lucas said the Holy Grail. He said father-son.
Yeah.
But he said, we're not doing a haunted mansion thing because Poltergeist was too crazy.
Yeah.
That's a scary movie. Or at least it was.
Yes. I just rewatched that movie like a couple weeks ago. It holds up still, kind of, if you set aside some of the special effects, like it's still like a good.
The tree attack, I can't handle it.
The clown. You like that clown?
It was a nightmare. My sister had that clown.
Oh, on purpose?
She,
did she get it because of that movie, or did she have it and then you wanted to burn the house down?
Even better, it was a Christmas gift, and it was a ventriloquist dummy.
What?
So you put your hand in the back, and you pulled a string, and the mouth moved.
Did you lock it in the closet, and then every day would be like back out?
Oh, when we saw the movie, you were like, "Oh, that has to go away." Yeah, it was like it.
So you had that before the movie came out, and then went to bed that night with that.
Yeah, I can't say the order of operations there, but close.
Could you imagine if doing that, and then if your parents, just to mess with you guys, would like move it around, like it would be in a different place in the next morning?
Oh, I would be in a mental institution. What are you talking about?
Oh my God!
So she got the clown. I got the Charlie McCarthy doll with the top hat and the monocle, like like it was 1942. I know. Totally.
Did you guys put on like performances?
No. Yeah.
You didn't sing The Lonely Goat Herd? And
oh my God.
They must have seen like ventriloquism on like the Johnny Carson show. And
right.
It was big in the 70s for a minute, and then let's buy the kids.
What's the madam?
Yeah. Something like that.
Who's the guy that does the madam? puppet. Oh God, I can't think of it.
All right.
Be on like Hollywood Squares or something.
Back to the program. Last Crusade, the beginning chase with River Phoenix and that whole thing. I didn't realize that the character with the brown leather jacket, like the guy that clearly Indy models his career after, is this guy. His name in the credits is Fedora.
Wait.
His name is Fedora.
First or last?
I believe it's just Fedora.
Like Cher?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way he's listed the cast, but it was, and maybe, I don't know, I was at the end of what you're saying, Brendan?
I was going to continue, but you're happy to finish it.
It was originally intended that was going to be Abner Ravenwood.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Marion Ravenwood's father.
Right.
And yeah,
it makes much more sense. I guess they couldn't.
Absolutely. Although I guess they probably
couldn't squeeze it in there, but
unless they didn't want Abner Ravenwood to be like he's pillaging and like stealing it for a private collector as opposed to the museum.
Yeah. But that could have been some conflict between the mentor and mentee. I mean, all that could have been good.
And also, there was always the intention that Indy was going to have a different love interest every single movie, and to go back and reference, sort of, at least in a way, refer back to Marion again.
Right.
Maybe they didn't want to go down that road either.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a different movie, and maybe you have to veer. It's too much of a tangent, and then whatever. But Sean Connery playing Henry Jones Sr. Is the father of Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. Sean Connery was only 12 years older than Harrison Ford.
Whoa!
They grayed up his beard, and they kept having to gray it up to make sure that he looked older. 12 years difference.
Wow.
Allison Doody,
yes,
who played Elsa, was only 21 at the time of filming, and Harrison Ford was 46.
Fun. Oh, fun. Well, and in the movie, supposedly, the dad slept with her too.
Right.
So,
right. Even better. Great.
Wow.
And she looks and plays like she is German or Austrian or whatever. She's from Dublin.
Oh.
Yeah. She's Irish. The film recycles two rejected ideas from Raiders of the Lost Ark. George Lucas originally wanted Indy to travel with his old archaeology professor. I guess that'd be Ravenswood, probably. Who had himself been obsessed with the Ark. Spielberg also wanted Indy to have a female love interest who was also a German spy.
Mm.
So those were from Raiders that was passed over to Last Crusade. So Raiders was this script that kept on giving.
It was a 500-page script.
Right. It was a 6-hour movie. Jeez. Harrison Ford and Sean Connery passed up 3 subsequent opportunities to work together.
Oh.
Connery accepted the role in The Hunt for Red October, and Ford turned down the role to come back as Jack Ryan.
Oh.
No, that was the first time. He turned down Jack Ryan originally.
Got it. Okay.
That went to Alec Baldwin. And then Ford took it over later for Patriot Games. Ford and Connery declined roles of Alan Grant and John Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Oh.
Crazy.
Wow.
I knew that I read that too. I had known that Harrison Ford had turned down Grant, but I didn't know that Sean Connery was offered.
If this is true, that's a much different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Connery declined to come back from retirement to reprise the role of Henry Jones Sr. in The Crystal Skull.
He made the right call.
Both Sean Connery and River Phoenix died on October 31st.
Whoa.
30 years apart or whatever, but they both died on Halloween.
Wow. Sean Connery was not at the paper room, was he?
Those records are sealed.
I have to say, well, I'll do the couple of trivia things. So, 2,000 rats were bred for this movie, for the production of this movie. Like, could they have found the 2,000, like, trapped 2,000 rats? But I guess.
But then they've got to be tested for disease.
Yeah, that was the whole point. Was
I know.
We got enough of them. Like, just.
We had to make more just for the movie.
But what did they do with them after? Like.
Fed them to
snakes.
Yeah, went to the pet shop like everybody else's pet rats.
The quote "Fly yes, land no" was in reference to his experience in the Temple of Doom when he was flying the plane, but had to jump out of it. Yeah. So I thought that was cute. And then the last Ford did the stunt himself where he was hanging from the tank from his bag. Going across or whatever. And so that was it.
And you saw the Fabelmans right now.
Yes.
So a lot of these shots and a lot of these sequences are like definitely borrowed or inspired by John Ford films and those type of movies. And you can see, I mean, the jumping on the horse by River Phoenix, that whole scene. Obviously, like the fight on and next to the tank, which is similar to on and next to the military carrier in Raiders with the Nazis and the big truck, which is like those old westerns where they were going on and next to the stagecoaches, like a lot of his stuff throughout these movies in particular are borrowed and inspired by these John Ford, these big epic 1940s serials and stuff. And it's so obvious, but it's still so Spielberg. Like, it's good.
Yeah. I think I didn't write it down, but we probably collectively could come up with it. But I think they said that this has the most diverse set of chase scenes that involve different kinds of vehicles. So it was like, car, train, boat, plane,
motorcycle,
Zeppelin. Yeah. Like all of these different things.
Tank.
Yep. The tank.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah. There was trucks involved. There were the trucks, all of it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little nugget when you think about it.
As much as I like this movie, and I overlook it, we all overlook it, some of the effects are horrendously 80s. They are what they could be then, but like seeing them today in HD, you're like, ooh, that one.
So I think they were probably some of the earliest of like trying to do the modern green screen on some of it, like they're in I think like what you're thinking of is they're in the car and they're kind of looking back at whatever. But we didn't like, just in general for this movie, like Sean Connery is so charming in this role. It's just, I love their interaction, that he's this academic, very kind of, he gets very stern with Indy on certain things, but others he's so like absent-minded and kind of like
he's believable as like a college professor father.
Yes. It's
he must have enjoyed his time here. Or it was reported somewhere that he liked working with Spielberg a lot on this movie, and they did one or two, I think, together after this. I forget what it was exactly, but they'd worked together in some capacity after this because they had fun on this movie together.
I know I read a couple of times how Spielberg wanted Sean Connery to play the angel in Always that came out like immediately after.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. And
that might be what I'm thinking. Okay. Yeah. This Last Crusade, it's really good. I don't know that I can put it ahead of Raiders, but
No, you can't. But I think what's cool also are the different places where they go, of course. You know,
we pretty much every place they went in Venice, I think we were right there or very close to it.
Yeah.
Especially the library museum thing.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. Venice.
Right. But like when they go to I can't remember what it's called, but you know, the place that's carved into the mountainside and
Petra.
Yeah. Like all of these, like it's very cool locales, if you will.
So this movie is the debut of Ke Huy Quan.
Yeah.
Short Round.
Yeah.
I could never remember if this came first or Goonies came first, but he's obviously older in Goonies.
Yeah.
So I was thinking if they were to continue the Indiana Jones franchise, they're not going to have Indiana Jones anymore. I think Harrison Ford and I think Spielberg said like there's no more Indiana Jones after Harrison Ford. We're not going to like recast it with somebody.
Right.
I want to see the movie of let's go back and find Short Round. Let's do the adventures of Short Round. Yeah, what's he doing now? And let's have him be the main character under the umbrella of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Yeah,
I'm afraid that they're gonna, especially after him winning an Oscar, that they're gonna try and shoehorn him into Dial of Destiny somewhere.
I know. It's possible. I guess the trailers, as much as we say the trailers give away everything these days, they don't give away everything. So maybe there is like a little cameo or mention in there, but I don't think so. I'm hopeful they don't.
They're not going to do like a, short, like a more up-to-date version with Short Round and like Indy Jones Super Junior, the Shia LaBeouf.
He's gone. They hated him, so he's gone.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, they had the son of Indiana Jones, together with Short Round, who was a kid, kind of thing. Like, there's a way that you could sort of do that.
Who's the woman in the new movie Dial of Destiny? The writer?
Yes, Phoebe
Waller-Bridge. Yeah. I could see her in Short Round.
Yeah.
Going on some adventure. That'd be great. I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Fine.
But the character of his son exists.
Yeah.
Like could
just recast Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
As somebody better.
That's
some sort of better person and actor and everything. Yeah. Anything about
Eric, did you have any trivia?
Last Crusade, Eric?
I think it's also sort of common knowledge, and this branches over to all three movies. The actor that was the giant mechanic that Indy fought by the plane in Raiders of the Lost Ark was also the head guard in Temple of Doom. And he had a scene in Last Crusade that got cut. He is still in the movie, only just for a few seconds though. But when the Colonel in Last Crusade, when he's running up to the Zeppelin to try and stop it, there is a Gestapo guy next to him running along with him, and that's that same actor.
Oh my God.
And there was a scene shot where Indy punches him out again.
Yeah.
But it didn't make the final cut. So Indy would have beaten up that same actor playing three different roles in all three movies.
I love being the guy that Harrison Ford punches out in 3 separate movies. Or 5 separate movies even.
Human being.
Yeah, he's huge.
Harrison Ford, just to make the Harrison Ford punch be that much stronger and bigger. Punch out that huge guy.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing this year, but I'm going to get the call from George Lucas or Spielberg or somebody. I know I'm at least doing this.
Yeah.
These movies, so that's all I have for trivia. I don't have any additional information, but I just wanted to talk about these movies because we're not going to do individual podcasts on these, but
yeah,
they're really good. And with Dial of Destiny coming out, this is this is the last Indiana Jones movie. We're not going to talk about the Crystal Skull, so maybe we'll at some point do a recap of Dial of Destiny, but we'll see.
I mean, I had still some things to kind of talk about on them. So one, it has bothered me for 35 years, 40 years. In the opening number for the Temple of Doom, right? The big musical number.
Yeah.
At some point, they're on a giant stage.
So,
and like all of this stuff is happening, and then she comes running back in. Who's watching that?
No. I saw something on this recently. It's obviously not explained in the movie at all. It's just glossed over. But it's
is it supposed to be like a dream sequence, like she's imagining
like a fantasy sequence, yeah.
Okay.
But is it from her perspective? Like,
it's got to be.
Where and why does it happen? It doesn't make it's.
Nobody's paying attention to it, so I will allow it if that was the intent.
It's not communicated though. I think that's somebody just making an excuse to put that in there. Yeah.
So there's that. I wrote it down. It's so stupid. Well,
Temple of Doom.
No, all of this is in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
So one, the whole Keystone Cops thing with the antidote and the diamond and the balloons and like
it's ridiculous.
So insane.
I like it though.
I mean, of course, that's the beginning part of this movie. Like I'm watching it at 11 years old, like, oh my gosh, it's great. And then Short Round and he's funny and all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden,
right,
parts are getting ripped out and like people are in like this death trance.
The first
like
drinking blood.
First 15 minutes do not match the rest of the movie.
It's more than 15 minutes. I checked. It was like 45 minutes before like the hearts get ripped out. Like
I mean,
even when they're like trapped and there's the spikes coming down, the way they're playing it for comedy, like the back and forth between and Billy to open the door.
Everything's good until they get into the Temple of Doom, basically.
I mean, the thing like with the Short Round driving and then he bumps up against the rickshaw and the guy like goes up in the air.
It's great.
Like, all of it is
it's like a Muppet movie.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
The palace dinner,
Yeah.
Short Round getting chased by the dancers, like all of it. And
that is interesting. It's two different movies.
Yes. And then all of a sudden it's like a bright line. A big black line is like there, and it like switches so fast, and then you finally come back out and it starts to liven up a little bit until the guy gets creamed by the conveyor belt thing. Like I think there's like liquefaction that happens in all of the James Bond Indiana Jones movies. So there's the plane and the he gets cut up that way, and then the melting of the face with the
okay,
and then there's the conveyor belt thing where the guy gets liquefied going under.
Interesting. Okay.
And then in Crusade, it happens again with the isn't there something with the? Did I write it down? There is liquefaction that happens, but I'm forgetting the scene. Isn't it toward the end? I know there's like the shrinking where he gets whatever, but I thought there was some other grisly death. No, I thought there was something else.
The guy gets beheaded.
No. Anyway, if you guys can't think of it, then maybe my theory is whatever. But there just feels to be like a lot of
the first two definitely
liquefied. I thought there was something in the third one.
Third one maybe. What about the Crystal Skull?
I haven't watched that.
the ants.
On and I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. The Eric, I know when we were younger, so like I would have to take like a 12-minute break from the movie and then I could come back and watch it again. But when Molaram falls down the cliff at the end, and he's like bouncing off the side.
And his head skids.
And he does the splits and like all of this stuff.
That's what I mean.
Everybody's like, like it was such insane, ridiculous falling, like unnecessary bumps and
that's
like,
the effects that I'm talking about. Like it didn't.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Alligators. Yeah. So, it was definitely for me. It was like a 3-part movie with a death sandwich in the middle.
Yeah.
But funny on either, like fun or funny on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like they come out and then it's like the scene with the 2 swordsmen is the callback to the first movie where he shoots them, but they just have his gun this time.
It's definitely 2 separate movies. I don't know.
Okay.
The Last Crusade, when they go to the castle and he puts on that Scottish accent because he wants to see the tapestries.
Harrison Ford's accent on tapestries is insanity.
So
then I am Mickey Mouse.
That would have been the Haunted Mansion that Lucas wanted or whatever.
Yep.
When they drive up to the mansion,
I've gone and caught a sniffle.
When you see him from the outside shot, when they drive up to the mansion, it's like just an establishing shot or whatever. You can see like an outline of where they cut out the hedges because everything above it is fake, and they superimpose the castle, and you can see where they cut out certain parts. Like it's very bad compositing in that shot, which I had never noticed in 30 years.
Go back and watch it
until today. I'm like, oh,
did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, it's terrible. Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff like that it goes by, you don't even care about it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's terrible.
Last Crusade, though. Oh, and the one other thing, though, that I liked in the Temple of Doom that was very like Spielberg and then the John Williams music was towards the end when they're still in the catacombs or whatever, and Indiana Jones is punching the big guy to the Indiana Jones theme, and then Short Round's punching the other kid, and it's kind of the back and forth. Like it just felt, I wrote it down. I was like, it's just an iconic
Very
kind of Spielberg sequence.
I think that's him. I don't think that's borrowed from anybody else, but yeah, I think that's him. The Last Crusade, when toward the beginning, when he's in what's his face's office and he's looking at the stones, like, oh, it's cut here. I can't figure out where this map starts and ends. I need the top half of the tablet, whatever. And they're talking about your father was the Jones, and the guy we had to help us and whatever. When is it Donovan? Is that the guy's name? When his wife opens and says, we need you out here. You're neglecting your guests or whatever. In the background at the party music, someone's playing the Imperial March on the piano.
Oh, really?
From Star Wars. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I read that too, but as many times as I've watched that movie, I've never caught that.
I know.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen.
I was trying to listen for it, and it's in such a different key and different like tone. Tempo.
That would be a little too on the nose.
It's either too subtle and I didn't catch it, or the trivia is wrong. Which is always possible.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
and that guy is in Empire Strikes
Back. Empire,
the Donovan guy.
Yeah.
And then it would like kind of foreshadow that he's actually the villain. It would be a little too on the nose if it was obvious.
I know. So maybe it is like subtle, and he's screwing with us.
Yeah.
Remember in in Raiders, the bad guy Tote with the Gaff of Ra hand.
Yeah. Let me tell you what I am used to. Yes.
In the Last Crusade, he plays, didn't have a line or anything, but he is actually next to Hitler and plays Himmler. He's standing in, he's Himmler.
He's in the third movie?
Actor is in the movie, yeah.
Oh. Does he have
I read that right before that scene came up, and I watched for him, and it was like, oh, it didn't, I guess that's him?
Yeah, I guess it is too, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I can see that happening, but he doesn't have any lines or there's no close up on him or whatever. So
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at him as the camera panned by him, like, yeah, that could be him.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about it.
All right. Memorable scenes and quotes from both movies. Either movie.
I mean, I think in Temple of Doom, kind of beyond some of the things that we've talked about, the rope bridge scene where they're like, it's a huge long bridge, they're in the middle, he's wrapping his leg around the thing and he's getting ready to chop, that is such an iconic kind of Harrison Ford sword up in the air over his head, ready to chop it is like a
I remember it in the trailer for sure. Like, oh, that's gonna be an awesome when you see that.
Yeah.
And then obviously the lowering down of the guy into the pit.
Oh yeah.
The heart pull too, but that whole sequence, I mean, obviously is a big deal.
Yep. The dinner scene, of course. We've talked about it already, but that was such I remember like talking about it at school with people after watching the movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see? Yeah.
The minecart chase. I remember seeing a lot of things after that movie came out, like showing
the miniatures.
The miniatures of like how they actually made it. Yeah, and specifically how they showed how the miniature I guess kind of invented a lot of stuff to make that happen.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah, that was good. And when they're like standing on the face of that, like on the edge of the cliff or whatever, like looking at it now, like of course the effects are different, but at the time, like that was such a big deal, and how they're kind of like moving around as the water's like shooting out. It was good.
The Last Crusade.
Yes.
Obviously, the whole ending part of doing all the breath of God, the whatever, all the tasks he has to do, or the challenges he has to get through.
Yeah, memorable lines. On that note, Jay.
Yeah.
Is he spelling Jehovah? That's
Jay.
So that's a great comedic line. And also another part that always makes me laugh is that first time you're introduced to Sean Connery, and he hits Indy over the head with the vase, and he's like, Junior, and even just got cracked over the head, and he's concussed, and he's barely conscious. He hears his dad's voice and still snaps to attention. Says, yes, sir.
Yeah. But I just like how Senior, I'll call him Senior.
Yeah.
Senior, like, just, I'm going to say falls into good luck of like things happening. Like he sits down and like it opens up the stairwell, the spiral staircase down, and
he's Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's kind of the opposite of Indy. He always does it the hard way.
Right.
Or has to do it the hard way.
Him being in the back of the plane, like, Dad, 10 o'clock or whatever. He's like, no, it's 4:30. Like,
what happens at 10 o'clock?
Yeah. But him like shooting and then shoots up the tail of the plane. Like just all of their little funny exchanges are good.
The whole beginning part with River Phoenix is good too. That whole chase on the train and everything.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And like
it tells the story so
when you
well.
mentioned that River Phoenix is doing a pretty good impression of Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And then when he runs in to tell his dad, and his dad says, "Wait, count to 10."
Yeah.
And he starts counting. He says, "No," in Greek, right?
Yeah.
And so he starts counting in Greek. That kind of harkens back to,
wasn't it in Latin?
Yeah,
to be able to do the
referenced later on when he does the Jehovah with the steps. Yeah. It's great.
I did you didn't know it the first time you watch it, right? But then the second, third time when they're in Senior's apartment at the beginning of the movie, you see the paintings of the different obstacles hanging up in his home or apartment or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. There's a whole, I talked about not doing the scripts and drafts and stuff. There's a whole bunch of different things that could have been in this movie or were in this movie but taken out, or stuff with like Donovan's apartment and fights and whatever. But I think the way it came together, this movie is really good.
Yeah.
It's almost like a more nostalgic movie. Like it when you watch it, you're almost nostalgic for Raiders of the Lost Ark a bit,
Yeah.
Because it was 9 years later, 8 years later. Yeah.
It seems, while there's a lot of action in it, it seems a bit more, has more of the history or the archaeology and kind of the mystery part of it, the treasure hunt, so to speak, than I think some of the others.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then again, there's a lot about the relationship between the father and the son. And it's you understand Indiana Jones so much better as a result of this movie than you do in either of the other two.
Yeah.
Because you get to see him when he was young and kind of that formative point, and then how he is with that relationship with his dad, and how much like that entire academic side of him, studying and knowledge and all of that comes from this.
Whereas my dad just argues with me about his navigation on his fucking car. How do I get this to work? What do we? Yeah. In quotes, only the penitent man, the penitent.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do like, I referenced it earlier, but the how did you know she was a spy? And he's like, well, she talks in her sleep. And the looks like it takes a half a beat for Indy to kind of connect, and then the looks that they exchange one another is very funny.
Another time where I laugh at, it's not anything really it's not something Indy says, it's the way he reacts to something he's told, is when he's yelling at Sala for bringing camels. Like, I said no camels, that's 5 camels. Can't you count? And Sala says, compensation for my brother-in-law's car. And Indy just sort of tilts his head and sort of rolls his eye a little bit. He's just like, damn it.
Yeah.
He's so frustrated.
Yeah.
It's such a great look on his face.
Sala is like the sneaky, most valuable player in Raiders and in this movie.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't do the things he does, none of this stuff happens.
Right.
Oh yeah. That just made me think of another memorable line, because my brother-in-law's car, when they blow up the car and Senior's like, what are you doing? Get down. And he's like, dad were well out of range, and then that shot fires in the background.
Goes over his head. Yeah,
it goes over his head. It's so good.
Or
as he's saying the line, the tank stops.
Yeah.
So you get that for a second, a split second, where something's wrong because the tank's not moving, and then it fires the shot off, and it's perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Like that is like can't get any closer than that, and then it falls in front of them and they drive right in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a Marx Brothers move right there. I like at the beginning when he's in the classroom and he's talking to his students about archaeology, and he's like, he starts talking about 80% of archaeology happens in libraries. It's all about, it's libraries and studying. Everything happens in libraries, and X never marks the spot.
Yeah.
Cut to 15 minutes later in the movie, X marks the spot, and they're in a library.
Right.
And like that's just maybe it's too easy and it's cheesy, but it's fantastic.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good. No, it's a great movie, and when I see that it's on television, I will always put it on.
Yeah.
Always put it on.
Yeah. Yep.
Really, any of the three, less likely with number 2, but
yeah, I'm generally not that interested in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
It's fine, but
yeah,
whatever.
Again, I'm still always I always like, there's got to be something else on. But I'll put it, depending on like if it's the beginning or whatever, then I put it on.
Yeah. Well, here's to hoping that Dial of Destiny is better than Temple of Doom.
Yeah. I'm hoping, like, Phoebe Waller-Bridges is in it, so I'm hoping for something good there.
I'm wary about the amount and quality of the CG.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see about that. The little bit of de-aging I saw with Harrison Ford looked fantastic.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's good. But I don't want it to look like most of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That it just looks like a video game almost. Like it's too much CG backgrounds and whatever.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't read anything about the plot of that movie.
Yeah.
But I've read a few things about what people are saying about it who have seen it, because it's been screened here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Eric, I don't want to hear it.
Oh.
Okay. But I will not say anything.
I'm gonna go in with the hoping for the best.
All right. All right. Well, that's Indiana Jones for now. Yeah. Maybe we'll come back and have to talk about the entirety of the franchise and whatever comes out of this movie, and is there a future? I would like to.
What if the whole movie was based on the Crystal Skull? Like everything harkens back to that and not any of the others.
The theater will burn down. Even though they did it before and it wasn't super well received, I wouldn't mind like a young Indiana Jones series. That happened before, and I don't think it was done very well, and there's a lot of continuity issues. It was just,
it's like an hour, 1 hour weekly TV show that makes it so much harder.
Yeah, and they ended up at some point repackaging it into like a movie, like quote unquote movie thing. It didn't work before.
What was it? The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles or something like that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing a good version of that.
Yeah.
But if this is the last we hear of Indy, it's fine. Good.
Yeah.
Let's move on let's do something new. But we'll see.
Yeah.
This was a movie where they made smart be cool.
Whoa.
You hear that?
No.
Whoa.
All right, that's Indy. On that note. On that note, I think that's about as far as we can go with this.
Hilarious.
I don't believe in magic, but a few times in my life, I've seen things I can't explain.
You have chosen wisely.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Give him hell, Indiana Jones!
It's not so much what you believe, it's how hard you believe it.